All right, everybody, welcome back to episode 29 of Jux and All Things Sports podcast, presented to you by Always Boolin. If you're watching us on YouTube, like and subscribe. If you're following us on Spotify, drop a review, hit the follow button. Thanks for checking back in. First round NFL draft coverage, NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, regular season baseball, including Mexico City series, big NFL draft. Just like every year, it doesn't go how anyone expected it to. Believe it or not, PFF rankings is just one website's big board. No one actually knows how these teams evaluate scouts or where they think they have needs. We're just common fans. With that being said, let's jump right into it. Houston Texans, obviously Bryce Young goes number 1. Houston Texans go Stroud at 2. And then trade back up to get Will Anderson at 3. Good idea, train. Bad idea, train. Good idea, gave up too much. What's your thoughts?
It's a good idea because Will Anderson is a great player. It's a bad idea because all those picks that they got for Deshaun Watson in that trade, they didn't use those. They used their own pick. And I don't know if, these two guys and the rest of their draft is going to elevate them to having a pick that isn't bad. So I think they should have included the Browns pick. I think their first round pick next year. I don't know what the full details were of moving up, but I know it definitely is like at least next year's first rounder that Houston has. So I think that's if you have two, then give them the Browns one, unless they didn't accept that. But it doesn't make much sense to me.
Let me spin this to you. I think the Texans draft pick is projected to be number 2 overall next year. And I think what I heard was Cardinals was number 1, but that doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me because they based it off of win totals, and I couldn't imagine the Cardinals were that low. But next season, you're in Caleb Williams sweepstakes. If Stroud works out, this will be a phenomenal move. If Stroud stinks, and then their draft pick is sit, and some other team uses this pick to get Caleb Williams, and he's a stud, it's going to be a disaster. If you really think Will Anderson was that great, why not just take him at 2, and then hope you do bad enough to land a better quarterback next year? I don't know. Exactly like you said, Troy. They gave up their own pick, which unless they went from 0 to hero with just this draft class, that's probably going to be a really valuable pick next season.
Yeah. So you think it was kind of a little too much to give to the Cardinals?
You need both of these guys to be studs. Because if one of them's a stud, then it's like we didn't need the other guy. We could have had the pick next year. If neither of them are studs, then it's a colossal failure. But if they're both studs, then that means you landed your future quarterback and a generational edge rusher, and that can be enough to leap start a franchise, and they won't be caring about the picks. But you need both to pan out, and preferably sooner rather than later. Lions also traded back, fall back from 6, where there was some big names on the board that fans still wanted, to go to 12. And they pick Jahmyr Gibbs with their first round pick. How are you feeling on draft night, Train? How are you feeling now?
Are we gonna kind of go in order? I didn't know if you wanted to go in like the draft order.
I was just scrolling through the outline.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. So how I was feeling after Devin Witherspoon got drafted by the Seahawks at 5, I kind of panicked, right? I was like, no mocks ever really had him going there, and obviously that shows that mocks are nothing when GMs know everything for the most part. And right after then we trade with the Cardinals. The Cardinals move back up after giving the Texans that pick at 3, and they take our spot, and we get 12 and 8, or where we're already at 18, but I get 34 and some other stuff. We picked Jahmyr Gibbs, and it's very questionable to say the least. You can disagree with me. Um, Lions fans love him. He's a great player. I won't disagree with you on that. My head was I was scratching my head when we made this pick because we had DeAndre Swift, we had David Montgomery. I thought we were going into this year focusing on the defense because we were basically golden on offense. We did lose Jamison Williams for 6 games and Chark for the whole season, obviously, because he went to the Panthers. But I was not expecting a running back, especially after Bijan went at 6.
8.
Oh yeah, 8. My bad. We could have picked him at 6.
Could have had Bijan at 6.
We could have had Bijan at 6. Last week I said, Lions fans, whatever Brad Holmes does, just think about it. Just think about it. Just think about it. No matter what you think. I don't even think Jahmyr Gibbs. I don't know if you've listened to any interviews, but that man was in shock. This pick basically shocked the entire nation on draft day, and I don't think it's a bad pick. I think he's a great player. I think, this is my opinion. I think we could have drafted him later. People are saying the Jets wanted him. A couple other teams wanted him. But I think the fact is we took him there at 12, and we would never know if we didn't take him. So we have him as a player. I think he's a great player. But initial thoughts were we could have definitely gotten him later. And I still think that, but I'm not mad with the pick. I think he's great.
Pick 18, after taking the least valuable position on offense, Lions turn around and get a white middle linebacker from Iowa, pass coverage kind of guy, stuff the middle kind of guy, not an edge rusher. How are you feeling after the Jack Campbell pick at 18?
Jack Campbell was a guy I wanted the Lions to draft. I think he's a dog. I didn't have Jahmyr Gibbs in my mock drafts, but I did have Jack Campbell in my mock drafts.
At 18?
Not at 18. I had him in the second round. And to be honest, most of the time he didn't fall to us in the second round. I was basically getting lucky in the second round for him to fall to us. So that one makes a little bit more sense. To us. I think, watching highlights is basically the whole draft day. That's all it is. Your team picks some guys and you watch the highlights, and then you're just pumped for football in 4 months. But we reached on both of these picks, and if Lions fans want to criticize me for that, that's perfectly fine. I still think they're great players, and we obviously have culture, and these guys fit the culture. They were on our board. At the time, I had no idea what we were doing. Still don't, but I love the players we got in the first round. We can go through them all. We got Brian Branch in the second round.
Great pick.
People were saying like, "Hey, just think of it like this."
I would have been happy with him at 29.
Just think of it like this. Just say we got all these guys, and don't think about it. I know, you can't do that.
It's the ham
but just
argument.
think about it. That is a ham argument. But it's kind of the way I had to think about it for a little while. What's done is done. We got a couple dogs. I mean, we got a tight end, which I was a little also confused about at 34. We moved up.
Could have had Darnell Washington.
We could have had Michael Mayer. We could have had either of the tight ends that the Packers drafted. But that was the one position I was like, okay, I'm not gonna, say that they're wrong on this because Iowa, it's tight end university, dude, and
T.J. Hawkinson
and linebacker, hopefully. But this isn't a position where I'm like, I'm not too concerned because our coach is Dan Campbell and he was a tight end. I think he's a solid get. I'm not mad at the tight end. I'm not mad at either of the any other picks, but I was less confused when we picked Laporta at 34 with the Cardinals trade back. Brian Branch, great get.
Great get.
Um, I love that he stayed there. He stayed at the draft and was like the only player day 2 to be walk up on stage. Um, a lot of interviews are like, what makes you ready for this team? And he's like, I just got that dog in me, and like no one's ever gonna take it away from me. It builds to a secondary that we improved on heavily this offseason. Very happy with that pick. Um, what do you think about? I mean, obviously we got Hendon Hooker as well in the third round, late second, third round. But what do you think about Jahmyr Gibbs? What do you think about Jack Campbell, Laporta, Brian Branch? Coming from the first and second round. And you can think of it however you want to think about it. You can think that we picked those guys in whatever order you want, or you can think of it exactly how it was. I don't care. I want to see an outsider's opinion on it because they're very differing. Some people absolutely love it, and some people absolutely hate it.
I love the Hendon Hooker pick. Mature guy, great quarterback before he got injured. Good little insurance policy behind Goff, too. If Goff balls out, that's fine. You still have a 26-year-old backup who's been doing it for a while, if anything. Or if he's that good and people are seeing something, then you got trade material. For a third-round pick, I love the Hendon Hooker pick. Love the Brian Branch pick. Would have been okay if the Jags took him at 29. Sam Laporta, shocking. I thought there was a lot of better tight ends on the board, but my own team picked an arguably worse tight end in the early rounds as well, so it's really hard to clown on the Laporta pick.
What was that?
Brandon Strange from Penn State. So
And he was also in the second round.
yes. I think there was other tight ends on the board that would have been more fun for the Lions maybe, and that's what I think the problem is. Like Darnell Washington, I think he's going to be incredible. But as a fan, you see 6'7", 320, and you're like, oh yeah, that's who I want on my team. You're not at the drills. You're not looking at the position breakdown. You're not having coaches say, see, this is something he does really well that we're not able to teach to most guys. Certain coaches pick up certain things that they like and that they can say, oh no, I can fix that, and it's something that other teams. So it's hard to clown on the tight end pick when my team also tweaked at tight end, but we'll call them both a tweak. 18, Jack Campbell. I thought it was way too early for him. Again, I guess it's your guy, but just like halfback, middle linebacker is a dying position of value in the NFL. Teams are better off putting flying safeties there that can chase down an outside sweep, get a scrambling quarterback, or drop back into coverage. Field general, old-fashioned middle linebackers don't have the value they used to have in this league. Thought it was a reach. Reen bet Ham $100 that Jack Campbell wasn't going to go in the first round as the Lions were picking. And at 12, we all shared a good laugh. Ham was upset at first, but then, got on Twitter and saw some things that excited him and how he loved Gibbs. And we were clowning it for having Swift and Montgomery and using 112 on Jahmyr Gibbs. And then you traded Swift for a box of rocks, and now everyone is saying the Eagles, he wasn't a bad running back. He was just a running back that your team obviously wasn't committed to anymore. Maybe you get more picks for Swift if you trade him before you draft a running back at 12. But I think they kind of tipped their hands on that and basically had to give him away. I think they got a 4th in 2 years and a 7th this year.
We moved up in the 7th from 249 to 219, and we got a 4th in 2025. Yes.
And I get getting your guys. But at 112 for a team that had a phenomenal offense, and an atrocious defense to use that pick on a running back after you already had one that you then traded to the Eagles, who the league still thinks is a good running back, as well as the guy who you just gave a 3-year contract to, and then you use your number one pick on a third running back, and he can play receiver. He won't. He might go in the slot every once in a while, but he's not. There's going to be some plays, but he's not going to be a receiver. He's going to be a slot back, good solid running back. You'll see him out there a couple times, but it's not going to be a thing. It's not to replace Jamison Williams or anything like that. You're just sticking another guy in the running back room. It opens up the playbook a little bit maybe, but defense was your problem, and to not address that with your first pick is crazy. To not go Jalen Carter at 6 is wild. You can go.
Well, I can get behind that. If the culture thing in Detroit is something they talk about daily. It feels like anywhere you talk, that's what it is now. It's culture, culture, culture. It's almost repetitive. It's almost annoying at this point. But that's something they're living by, and it's obviously escalating into a better team. So if Jalen Carter didn't fit that, then fine. I'm okay with that. What I didn't get is if you want Jahmyr Gibbs that bad, if you want Jack Campbell that bad, you have to know something that everyone else involved, all the analysts know things. They know roughly about where people should go. Why not get a couple more picks for that 12th pick and just move back a little bit further? Is he there at 18? I almost can guarantee you he's going to be there at 18, but we'll never know, obviously. At 18, not nearly as mad about it. Initial reactions were exactly what you said. What are we doing drafting a running back when our defense was our struggle last year? I mean, the Panthers ruined our season last year because they ran probably 400 yards on us. Why not address it right away? Why not, hey, let's get a guy that's it's a rush stopper right away, because obviously that's our thing we need.
I get the culture argument. I know it's a whole we interviewed 30 guys and only 5 of them had the dog that we were looking for in players. And in terms of Eagles are a Super Bowl team.
Yeah.
But they have no concern with Jalen Carter fitting their culture. I think you might back yourself into a corner sometimes, and you're like, we need people who specifically fit our culture. And all of a
That was
sudden,
almost annoying
your
to a
draft
degree.
board gets a little thin because you're like, well, this is the only guy who really gets what we're trying to do here, which might be awesome, but you might be missing out on a guy who just is ready to learn but doesn't seem like he fits your culture and might be a better talent. They're pro football players. This is their job. When you see a Super Bowl team like the Eagles take Jalen Carter at 9, you got to be like, I don't know. They weren't worried. And that guy would have clogged that run game right up.
It's it is what it is. Jalen Carter would have been a big deal, but that's what I mean. It's almost annoying to a degree where, culture is a big thing, obviously, but we need talent. Not saying the guys we did pick, aren't talented, but you do back yourself up in a corner. I did like that argument. So, I mean, you touched on it. You did pick a tight end in round 2. Do you want to go over the Jaguars draft? And I mean, hardly did anything in the first round other than say, here, you take it, you take it, you take it. Actually, in the first few rounds, what did you think about the Jags draft as a whole, and maybe initially go into what you thought about the Jags basically trading all back and back and back and back? I think they did it like 3 or 4 times.
So we come up to pick 24 after waiting and watching a whole bunch of other teams who didn't get playoff wins make their picks. And then we finally got to our own pick at 24. They order those based on record in the NFL. So we had to wait a really long time. Not record, but depth into the season. So we had to wait a really long time for our pick to
Just a
come
little
in
bit longer than the Chargers.
at 24, just a little bit longer than the Chargers, a lot longer than some other teams too. But regardless, we got to pick 24, and there was like still 3 guys on the board who were rumored to be bulky guys in the first round. So immediately, Reen and I are like, "Oh, we're trading back." It's what bulky does. So we trade back, and we think we went back 2 picks, and then we're like, "All right, that's fine. We'll waiting to see who goes here, and then that guy and our guy will still be there." And then we get up to we're like a pick before or something, and Ham says something along the lines of, "Imagine they trade back again." Maybe 30 seconds later, we're trading we're trading back again to 29. We were a little frustrated there. I wanted to see a pick at this point, but also it's like, what are we doing? What do we need these picks for?
I got their pick at 27. Was that wrong? They're at 29.
I think we went back again to 29. We might have
Okay.
gone from 24 to 25, then to 27.
Okay. All
Um,
right.
but yeah, we kept trading back and just waiting to pick. And when we finally got to our pick,
You still got
I was very happy that we still got Anton
them.
Harrison. At the end of day one, I was ecstatic with the draft. I knew I didn't. There was rumors that we might try and trade up, but I wasn't sure. Everyone was pretty content with the guys we could have gotten where we were for our team. That's who I wanted. It's who I had mocked there to us. One of the beat writers I really trust. He really likes him. I thought it was a good pick, and I went into day 2 so happy. We had extra picks. We're rumored to trade for Buda Baker. We can move up again. We got Anton Harrison. There's a couple more trade backs. I don't know what we're doing. And finally, we get up to our pick, and we pick Brandon Strange, and I couldn't believe myself. I didn't even see him in mocks when I was doing mocks. I saw Kuntz, I saw Tucker Kraft, Laporta, Darnell Washington, Michael Mayer, Dalton Kincaid, all these guys, and I never saw Brandon Strange up there. Again, after a couple days and seeing all these accounts tweet and try to make me feel good about it, it's like, oh, there must be something there. There must be a reason they wanted him over all those other guys. But, oh my, why would you not props to Nar because he was just cheesing the whole draft and had a grand old time. Because we wanted Joey Porter Jr., didn't pick him. We wanted to get Darnell Washington when we could have had him, didn't get him. And then the Steelers ended up just getting him later in the night. So I wasn't excited. They think he's going to open up in a Doug Peterson offense. We'll see. I didn't love the pick. Tank Bigsby. I loved that pick. In a round where you get good underrated running backs, the third round, Tank Bigsby, I loved the pick. Reen hated it.
Relax.
I was a big fan. Couple of Jags beat writers gave us A plus. Couple Jags beat writers gave us D minuses. I like Tank Bigsby. I think he's going to be fun. Problem is also a stuffed up running back room right now. We just paid like Dearness Jones and Jermichael Hasty, and we've already got Etienne there. So we'll see how that goes, but I like the pick. Ventrell Miller at linebacker. Ugh. All the guys I know hated it. They had him in the late rounds, 5th, 6th. We took him 4th. And again, it's a coverage linebacker guy. Maybe a little bit of a zone run stopper, but he's not a go-get-the-quarterback guy. And we just used 2 high picks on middle linebackers last year, Chad Muma and Devin Lloyd. Wasn't super ecstatic about it. Starting to blank on other picks, but
Tyler Lacey is another 4th rounder, and then you kind of get into 8 picks between 5th and 7th round. Tyler Lacey, an edge rusher from Oklahoma State.
And here we go. Tyler Lacey, I loved. 10 sacks his junior year, 9.5 sacks. 10 his sophomore year, 9.5 his junior year. Either way, I think the guy's a dog. He doesn't have the bulky arms which to me is a big thing because if he doesn't have the bulky arms and Bulky still picked him, I think there's some flashes there. It's another pick that Reen hated, though, and I could be wrong. Yasir Abdullah, same thing. Good raw talent, not bulky arms. I think one of these two guys sticks. I think that's the plan. I think we took two guys who are raw and athletic and hope we can shape one. I doubt they both turn out. Antonio Johnson was our Brian Branch of the draft, kind of a little bit. Brian Branch was a guy who was mocked early round one value-wise. Antonio Johnson was a guy in mock drafts going round two. So to get him in 5 was really fun. Frustrating part is Bulky's already saying he's not going to play in the nickel, which is where fans want him to play. And we don't know why we need another safety who's not a nickel safety. And Antonio Johnson is a nickel safety, but Bulky doesn't seem to think so. So that's interesting, but it's a good pick. And it gets, I'm only going to do like one more here because the other guys are just throwing darts at a wall because Bulky traded back for all these picks and he claimed he was trying to trade up in the draft at certain spots and nobody would take. So then it got to the point, just like in Madden, when you continually trade your pick back in the draft, he just had a bunch of picks in the 7th round and had to use them. I only say I stop here because of the Parker Washington pick. I liked it at first, but when you really start to pick it apart, it doesn't look great. I think he's like 5'9.5". He ran like a 4.9 40.
Wow.
But apparently he's a great route runner who makes good catches and can turn on a dime. But he's slow and he's short, so we'll see. He's not a special teams guy. Maybe a good slot receiver. Maybe the goal is to be Zay Jones, but I might be able to walk 40 yards faster than this guy can run it. Last one I'll talk about, Derek Parrish from Houston. Fun pick. Played both sides of the ball. He's a running back / D lineman. Jags are going to rumored to be using him in the fullback position, but he's never played fullback before, but he was a running back. They think that was a pick who's just going to be like that dude on special teams for a little bit. So that's kind of fun. And that's about all I got for the Jags. It was a lot of sitting, thinking you're going to get a guy, seeing that you traded back only to watch someone else get your guy, and then watch your GM tweak at his pick anyways. Realistically, it's been Clanton ever since Bulky came to town.
Yeah, I thought the Jags draft really wasn't that bad. I thought it was pretty good. The tight end was weird. Maybe strange. I don't know.
Too soon.
Yeah. The Lions, I think that, you can say they had a bad draft. I think I like the players we got. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be a dog. Hendon Hooker only makes me feel so much better. If Goff, if something happens or
Or if he stinks.
yeah, you never know. But we'll stay in the NFC North.
And we'll stay on tight ends.
And we'll stay on tight ends. Steed, 2 tight ends. They're good tight ends. I won't I won't say they're not.
Yeah.
I'm a little confused by it, to say the least. Maybe that comes back and haunts me. They just paid Jordan Love today. The Lucas Van Ness pick, I don't know if you saw it, but like when they went over to him on the camera, it was like, was that him where like the dad the dad smacked his girlfriend's ass or something like that? That's a bad look. Jaden Reed, people are saying it's a reach, but other people are saying he didn't show his full potential because of Peyton Thorne at Michigan State. So Steed, you could be happy with it. Definitely adding to the offense a lot of offense to help out Jordan Love here.
A lot of offense,
which is weird because that doesn't happen.
Not often.
not too often.
They get rid of Aaron Rodgers and they get Jordan Love every possible weapon he could ever want in this draft. Speaking of weapons, Philadelphia Eagles, after getting Jordan Davis last year, basically just pick everybody who graduated from Georgia, Nakobe Dean too, and they continue to do that this year, also adding Keely Ringo in the late rounds.
DeAndre Swift.
DeAndre Swift in a trade, which was crazy.
Nolan Smith,
Jalen
Jalen
Carter,
Carter.
Nolan Smith.
They're just trying to build the Georgia team, which is not a bad team to try to build.
But people were worried about this Eagles team after the Super Bowl, and Gardner Johnson left, Slay almost left. It looked like one of those things where, like, all right, they had their swing, they got there, now everyone's going away. And then after the draft, everyone's just like, wow, Eagles are incredible again. Right?
Yeah, a lot of people are saying it. I think
D-line alone.
it could come back to haunt them, but chemistry it definitely helps that. These guys have played before, and you can't tell me drafting people from the same team doesn't make them feel a little bit more comfortable. To say the least, going into a brand new scenario environment, professional, they're gonna feel a lot better knowing those two guys were already there from last year. And also coming in with a guy from your draft class in the same round. Like it's scary. The
Yeah.
Eagles have a lot to lose. They are the clear favorites. If they don't get to the Super Bowl, it's a letdown.
Oh, yeah, I agree. Especially with the way the NFC is looking.
Yes.
Speaking of teammates getting drafted the same teams, Cowboys go 2 Michigan players in the first 2 rounds. Mozzie Smith in the first round. The shocking, well, that was a little bit of a shock, but people thought late first, early second. The bigger shock, Luke Schoonmaker at 58, another tight end. Tight ends went pretty early and often in this draft, and not necessarily the order people thought they would have.
I was shocked. I know we were basically going over mocks and don't listen to them because GMs know everything. This guy was mocked like 150, pick 150. So he was it was definitely a reach. I don't think he's bad. It's a Michigan guy, so I can't say too much
That's
bad
what
shit about him.
that's
Like,
what's tough is even as a Michigan guy, I'm like I don't know how much I can tell you to justify taking him at 58 over some of these other tight ends.
exactly. And I would imagine Darnell was probably still there. Um, yeah, Darnell Washington was pick 93, so he was definitely still there. Um, but people have their preferences.
Another Michigan player drafted way earlier than people anticipated. I suspected this a little bit, but not this early. 49ers take Jake Moody in the 3rd round. The reason I wasn't too shocked, everyone, again, you go on the mock drafts, not many people draft a kicker in mocks because the computer generated software is going to value any other position over that. So everyone goes, let's snag him in the 7th. The best kicker historically goes off the board round 4 or 5. So I thought people would be a little shocked. I didn't think it would be 3rd round crazy. What are the 49ers thinking, Train?
I mean, I'm pretty sure it was like one of the last picks in the 3rd round, but it was still the 3rd round.
Still 3rd round?
Um, the 49ers. Here, let me go to their draft and see what else they got. That was their second pick in the draft, Bach. They picked 12 picks ahead of Jake Moody with a safety from Penn State, and then they got Jake Moody. Now, I know that team is good. I do know the 49ers are a good team. And I know Jake Moody is a good kicker. But I don't know. I think that's a reach and not needed. You can always improve elsewhere, and they could have probably taken him a little bit later, maybe even.
And they got
I don't know.
Ronnie Bell?
They also got Ronnie Bell. Yeah, that was very late. A few picks until the end, 253, which I think is a good get. Um, guess we'll see.
I also love Cameron Latu, the tight end they picked.
Yeah, it was an interesting draft from them. I'd say nothing really stands out to me, to be
Ouch.
honest, other than Jake Moody just being weird.
Bijan to the
Good.
Falcons, success story or no?
Dude's a tank. This is what I don't get about the Jameer Gibbs thing. The Lions could have had Bijan Robinson if they really wanted a running back at 6 instead of trading back. also don't understand why the Falcons wanted him. Tyler Algier had a great year. Their rushing attack did pretty well. Actually, very well last year. It was about all that they could do. So I think this pick is weird, and he's going to be the starter. It's just like a slap in the face to Algier because he had a good rookie year, I think, last year, and they're just like, nope, you're done. You're done.
Seahawks have been mentioned as draft winners by a couple of sites. Devin Witherspoon at 5, Smith and Jigba at 20, Charbonnet at 58, 52 in round 2, Mike Morris and Oluwatimi both in the 5th round.
Yeah, I just love their draft. That's why I highlighted them.
Yeah, I didn't know where I
Um,
was going with that. So,
no, yeah, I just highlighted that one because I thought the Devin Witherspoon really fucked with the Lions. Because we're like, oh, Devin Witherspoon's our guy. That's definitely probably what happened and made us maybe tweak a little bit, but still love our guys. Jackson Smith and Jigba, everyone high on him. Zach Charbonnet, I don't understand it. I can see them getting a guy in like the 6th or 7th round. However, I mean, they got Kenny last year, and Kenny was a beast. Like, he did really well.
I love a
And now
Charbonnet pick behind Kenny, though.
I do too. Like, I mean, I like Charbonnet. I like him as a running back. I think they're just going to be taking away from Kenny, which is not needed. He needs to get the ball as much as possible. Not a shot at Charbonnet. I know he's a Michigan guy, but I'm not a huge fan of that one. Other than that, I love their draft. I think they did really well with 2 picks in the first round and made us maybe look a little silly.
Let's talk AFC South just for a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, a lot happened.
4 teams, one of which just won the division, with probably their established quarterback. The other 3 quarterbacks of these teams last year, Matt Ryan, Davis Mills, and a revolving door. Oh, wait, Ryan Tannehill for the Titans. But injury problems, so then Malik Willis and Josh Dobbs. After the draft, now you've got Trevor Lawrence, still probably Ryan Tannehill, but maybe Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, and C.J. Stroud. On top of C.J. Stroud, Will Anderson also goes to the Texans. And the Texans did a lot of maneuvering and a lot of trade-up and got a lot of good guys in this draft. You don't have to give the Jaguars first in the division out the gates. Who do you think finishes first in the division? If not if it's the Jags, who do you think finishes second?
Man, it's a good division to go into if you're a rookie. I think it's really fun that this kind of happened to say the least. I still think it's the Jags. It's still Trevor Lawrence. I it,
Still
he
minus
showed
160.
Yeah, I wouldn't be I would be concerned because I'm a Lions fan, but if I were you, I wouldn't be concerned, if that makes sense. They're new guys, they're better guys than they had before.
Wait, that doesn't make sense because we don't play you guys.
No, it's like if the Lions were favored by 160 minus 160, I would be concerned for myself.
Oh, yeah, I'm still concerned. I'm concerned C.J. Stroud or Anthony Richardson is incredible. We struggled to beat the Texans in previous years when it was the worst team in the league.
Sorry.
And
All right, FaceTime just popped up on her computer, and I have no idea what happened.
then
So whatever you just said, I didn't hear.
I'm very concerned is what I was saying.
Oh, okay.
I'm-
Of who mostly? Will
the,
Levis.
the Texans are scary because I liked C.J. Stroud going into the draft. On top of that, I think they put a lot of other talent out of the draft. And on top of that, we struggle against the Texans even when they're bad. Just last year, we were like their only win, one of 2 wins, they beat us early on in the season. Anthony Richardson is either going to be like incredible or nothing. So it's going to be a big hit or miss. Will Levis, I'm not really worried about the Titans, which is crazy. But 30-year-old Derrick Henry, aging Ryan Tannehill, your O line's not great, and you got a guy who puts mayo in his coffee.
I hated their draft. It was maybe one of my least favorite
The
drafts
Titans,
of yes, the Titans. The Titans. I wrote out all of these picks, and obviously I get to look at them, and they didn't have a whole lot, but with what they did do, I wasn't a big fan. Tajay Spears, he- it, I don't know, wasn't the biggest fan of their draft, so I wouldn't worry about them. Um, if I were you, what I was saying earlier was, as a Lions fan, if we were favored to win the division minus 160, I would be worried. But since you aren't since you aren't the Lions, you don't have to be worried.
mm,
I think they're still favored for a reason, and I think they can win the division, um, pretty
we're the
handedly.
Lions of the South, man.
In what context?
Well, for one, both cats,
That's true.
right?
That like AFC South or just the South in general.
It works both ways, really.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, so now we're 2 for 2, right?
Well, you won a playoff game pretty recently.
Yeah, yeah, but we had, well, I guess, Dan Campbell, Urban Meyer. Like we both, or not Dan Campbell. I'm so sorry. Matt Patricia, Urban Meyer.
Okay.
Um,
I was like, what the fuck?
I know. That's Ham's gonna be mad at me anyway. It's just that they were even in the same sentence if he listens to this. But we both had that whole fiasco, and then the Blake Bortles
A
boat,
very
but
unrelated note. I think the Lions and the Seahawks, and we've definitely talked about this before, are in such so similar situations. We both had two first round picks, two second round picks. We have like a question mark kind of at quarterback, but not really. Running backs, we have. I don't know. I think of them as two very similar teams, playoff push teams that might win their division. You know,
and who do you think had a better draft?
I like the Seahawks draft for them. Um, I I'm not gonna contradict myself and say, because last week I said whatever Brad Holmes does, trust it, and I've been trying to be optimistic. Ham called me negative. Was I being a little negative? Probably. Did I have reason to be negative? Yes. Lions fans were so baffled at this draft, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine to question what the hell he was doing, but watch the highlights, do some research. Don't listen to those interviews because Jameer Gibbs not a big talker. No, not doesn't like talking much at all. To be honest.
I think the big thing that you have over the Seahawks is your O line.
Yeah.
I like K9 more than I like any running back in your room. Running back room as a whole, you might be able to give the edge to the Lions, but I love the Charbonnet pick. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and
Jackson Smith and
JSN. And then
that's
I don't
terrifying.
I don't know enough about either team's defense that much, but Seahawks now have Devin Witherspoon and Tariq Woolen, so that's a little crazy. And they got old Jamal Adams, but Jamal Adams and Bobby Wagner back. They might be a wagon, but I think Geno Smith is more of a question mark at quarterback than Jared Goff is. Going into
Yeah,
next year, I'd rather have Jared Goff over Geno
that's
Smith,
for sure.
just
I
because
take that back.
I've seen bad Geno Smith more than I've seen bad Jared Goff.
I guess not really the quarterbacks in by their name, but the quarterbacks in the future. Like obviously your future is set in stone, Bach. You know what's happening. With the Hendon Hooker pick, we don't know what's going to happen after
10
this
years,
next.
500 million.
Yeah, he's
Ink it,
6'6".
ink it not. Well,
Hmm?
10 years, 500 million. Give it to Trevor Lawrence right now.
Oh, right now. Okay,
Right now.
okay. All right. Well,
So let's jump
that was a
into
lot.
playoffs.
Okay.
And we'll go right to NBA. Because we gave the NBA a lot of crap. Deservingly so. But lately, I've been having a fun time having NBA games on in the background. Heat and Knicks advance. That's kind of a crazy matchup in the second round. Heat are up 1-0. Warriors clinch out against the Kings. And we get to see vintage Steph Curry basketball again. It was exciting to watch, even though it wasn't defensive. And now we get Lakers Warriors. It did make me want to throw up in my mouth a little bit. If the Lakers win, I'll probably not watch the NBA ever again in my life until the Pistons make an Eastern Conference Finals at least. Lakers
Wow.
Warriors should be a fun series. Sixers Celtics.
Did you say that just because you don't want to see Braun win, or because Braun shouldn't win?
Both exactly. It shouldn't
The
happen.
Warriors are the better team.
Yeah, easily.
Okay.
Sixers Celtics. Thought it was going to be an easy series the moment Joel Embiid was announced out. James Harden went vintage James Harden mode, and the Sixers closed out that game last night. And that game was the most fun I've had watching an NBA game in a while. Did you watch?
Yeah. I did not. I bet on the Celtics.
It was going back and forth and back and forth, and then it was like almost a shot clock violation, but it was right as Maxey intercepted the pass, and he just went and got a layup and tied it up, or took a 1 point lead. It was I was on the edge of my seat. James Harden hit a big three to take like the 4 point lead. It was phenomenal.
Did you see what he wore to the game?
Who?
James Harden.
I did not.
Well, after the pod, go look and see what he wore to the game. People were betting on the Celtics because of what he wore to the game, but I think if James Harden makes another weird appearance to a game in the playoffs with some ridiculous outfit, I mean, you can wear whatever you want, but that was ridiculous. You got to bet on the man to score some points and for the Sixers to win. Joel Embiid actually won MVP tonight. I don't know if you saw that before the pod.
Good for him.
He was officially announced the MVP of the season.
Got to come back now, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'd rather. Yeah. Who would you rather have win this series? Celtics or 76ers?
Probably the Celtics. And that's tough because I hate Boston and I hate Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Um,
They get everything. Why do they need?
I hate the Phillies. I really hate the Phillies. And I hate them so much that lately some of that hatred has been overflowing onto other Philly teams, and I don't intend for that to happen. I want to like the Sixers. And the same thing's kind of happening with the Celtics, but at a much more rapid pace. I spent one weekend with Ham, and I absolutely hate the Bruins now. In fact, I hate them so much, I'm starting to hate the Celtics a little bit now. But
Was he a big Bruins guy?
no, we hate the Bruins.
Oh, okay.
Ham fueled my like he was hyping me up to hate the Bruins, which we'll jump into in just a second. But really quickly, Suns Nuggets. Suns down 2-0. Any chance Katie and the Suns make it back, win the series? Train?
No, they have Chris Paul on their team. Chris Paul doesn't. He doesn't. Even if they get past the Suns, I wouldn't bet on them. Or even if they get past the Nuggets, I wouldn't bet on them. The Joker is in full form right now. The team is not walking; they're running to the ship to the finals.
Similar things going on in the NHL. Upsets on upsets on upsets. Bruins lose to the Panthers in a Game 7 overtime. Phenomenal game to watch. Bucci overtime challenge, whatever Hammy made me tweet to try and win. I was close, but I didn't get it. But it brought Vintage Ham Twitter back out that night. He went tried to chirp at some fans, and the guy was just so down bad that he was just like, yeah, you're right. We do stink.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Boston was down bad that night. And you have to be. Imagine that Warriors team when it was KD and Steph and Clay when they went like 72-9 or something. 73-9, or is that the Heat? I don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh, you're right.
It was the Warriors that year.
Yeah.
Imagine them getting bounced in the first round of the playoffs.
Oh, yeah. Or another comparison. Bittner actually said this today. He's like, it's like when the Patriots were undefeated going into the Super Bowl. It wasn't the Super Bowl, but it was the first round of the playoffs going undefeated. Can you imagine that?
If you're the Bruins in the Stanley Cup final and you lose, people are like, oh, they probably should have won. But you made this. It'd be like the undefeated Patriots losing in the first round.
Yeah.
So Florida Panthers, man.
Yeah, it's unreal. And that's
they weren't
what's
playing the
a little
best
bit
team
more
in the
fun.
other conference.
Everyone's saying, like, hockey, anybody can win, but then you turn over to the NBA and literally these 8 seeds and other guys or other teams are winning. So it's like actually pretty fun to watch these playoffs because it's not just the favorite to win all these games. And most of the time, it's not at all. So I actually am enjoying both NBA and NHL when I'm not very into them during the regular season, if at all. I love it.
When the Red Wings got the record for best season in NHL history, we went and won a cup. That's what I'll say on that. Kraken take down the Avalanche, last year's Stanley Cup winners. Another stunner. Exposed had a big parlay riding on this game at the very end. He had the Panthers winning. He had the Warriors winning. And then he had the Avalanche winning in this game. It's like 25,000 to win 200 or something. So that was tough for him to watch. But I like the Avalanche, so I was down a little bit bad. I guess it's fun to see the new expansion team do well, but I'd rather see the Avalanche keep going.
I don't know. Can you say that, really? Isn't that still like a battling feud between them and like the Red Wings? Is that still
It is
lingering?
a little bit. Avalanche as a team, it's like, bleh. But I like Cale Makar. I like Nate McKinnon. So that's my problem there.
All right.
Rangers go down in the first round to the Devils. I'm happy for Frank the Tank. It was good to see the guy smile for once in a long time for his sports memory. So that was fun. But now we got Panthers at Maple Leafs, Kraken at Stars coming up.
Tonight, yeah. I think there's other games tomorrow, but I just put the ones that are on tonight.
Rooting for the
maybe.
Panthers and the Kraken now. So.
Oh, yeah.
And
Kraken all the way.
I don't know. I think Twitter's better when the Devils win in terms of Frank the Tank screaming. Let's talk Tigers baseball. Someone said
I'll let you talk about it because I don't know shit. Wait, I know a little bit, Bach, and I'll let you have your fame, but I know something. I know a little bit of something.
Mm-hmm.
I think his name is Zach Short.
Is
that his name?
That's true, yes.
We let him play one game, or we pulled him up to play one game, and he had a great. I sent it to you on Twitter because I was like, "Oh my god, I saw something. It looks crazy," and he had a great batting day. Is that right?
I believe he's still up on the team. I think we sent someone else back down.
Sick.
But yes, and then he stuck with us through the really poor seasons where I might have been able to get a spot in that lineup. But he's been there a while. He's got a podcast with 2 other Cubbies that Comp and I are pretty loyal listeners to. The Compound, presented by John Boy Media. He's a fun guy. He's a fun person. I'm excited to see him do well. Do I think it'll last? No. But he also had a web gem up the middle. He plays very hit or miss defense. He'll either make the dumbest play you've ever seen or a really good play. But it's something new. It's good to see guys turning out. I'm getting a little worried at Spencer Torkelson, but the StatCast numbers are still there, but they're just average. So at this point, we're just fighting for him to be average, which is bad because average doesn't justify 1-1. We're 10-17 right now. Someone shared in the Twitter group this morning we got a big chunk of games against a weaker part of the schedule, and we knew this was going to happen. Don't expect it to happen now because we got a 3-game series with the Mets coming up where we will face Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer. But Verlander will be coming off injury, and Max Scherzer's had a rough start to the year. So maybe we'll come out of that a little bit more encouraged, but expect a fun month from the Tigers. I think we could end at 500. We don't want this team to tank because we need to give Chris Ilitch a reason to show us what he means when he says willing to spend. It's one thing to go out after that season and get Javi Baez and Erod, and he'll never spend like his dad Mike Ilitch did, and it's a weak free agency class. But I just want to see the guy go out there and be in the mix for the number one guy that everyone's talking about. Miggy comes off the books, a little bit of money frees up. Either Erod's going to explode, we trade him, or he opts out of his contract. Javi probably opts in. We have to give him a reason to show us what he means by I will spend. On the outline, it's asking me where my no-run first inning bets are. They're gone. They're gone. I was in such a betting slump. I haven't bet in a couple weeks. It's been awful. The one bet I won, I put $1 on Steph Curry over like 42.5 points, rebounds, and assists, and it hit, and then I lost like 5 more bets after that.
Are you still updating the spreadsheet?
Sometimes. It's not great. It's not great because like then you add in weekends.
That's what we need. We need.
Yeah, but that's why I haven't been giving any bets. But maybe it'll come back, and I've got other sources I can go to give educated picks.
Okay. Well, it was fun. It was a fun start.
It was so fun until I started losing every bet.
Oh, speaking of losing every bet,
I couldn't buy a winner. Couldn't buy one.
I lost every NFL draft bet when I was here talking shit about how good of odds I got. Every single bet that I took, Lions, Seahawks, the Vikings, every single one, Osiris Torrance, the one I had on the wager wheel, every single one was a loss. I had no idea what was happening. And if you're done with the MLB, I didn't mention it, but I think the Steelers had the best draft in the NFL. I know Nar would be talking shit right now if he could.
Steelers had a phenomenal draft, yeah.
Yeah, I think they had the best one, and he should be really happy. I know he said he wasn't too happy at the Darnell Washington pick, but dude, they had an incredible draft. It just sucks that they got that OC still there. I think is he still the OC? What's his face? He hates him.
Matt Canada.
Yeah. Is he still there?
He is, yes.
Okay. Yeah, he's probably still pissed. Sorry I brought that up, Nar.
Sorry, Nar. We'll fix it with the wager wheel. Slightly updated, less categories, but way more accurate ones. You'll know them when you get them. Here you go, Train.
Perfect. I feel like I got to clap like I'm on Family Feud.
Oh, wow. It's a fun one. Fun one for Train. MLB home spread.
Okay.
MLB home spread. All right, I got MLB away under.
Oh, couple MLBs, huh?
Yeah, I guess I didn't really think about the overall dispersion, but it's like mostly MLB. Because I just did NBA playoffs and NHL playoffs. I guess I could have done And
Home spread under. Yeah,
well, there was
probably,
just
but
so
that's okay.
little at that point. You have two teams to bet on, but I guess I could have done NBA playoff money line, NBA playoff over under. Maybe next week. We'll see.
All right, so I'm gonna do my baseball pick. What did you say? It was
MLB home
MLB
spread.
home spread. Okay.
And then I would say we do Wednesday.
Yeah, yeah. I had to scroll down a little bit, but
MLB away under? Wait, there's no. Why would I
um,
put that on the wheel? There's no away under. It's just an under.
you put an away under.
It says MLB away under.
Maybe you have to bet on a team to get under
A
their
team under?
total. A team under. I mean, it is the wheel. It spoke.
I will do as the wheel says. But I tried to get into my DraftKings account earlier. Well, I should know the password.
I just had to log into mine with my password too. I got the Padres. They're going against the Reds tomorrow at 4:10. This will be Wednesday, May 3rd. -1.5 at -125 odds. Um, yeah. Not gonna put a lot on this because the wager wheel has not been kind to us, Bach. But
It has not. We're both at 4-5 now. And I've got an away under for tomorrow.
no way under.
An
I
away
mean,
under.
that's just what happens. Um,
Ooh, what is this one looking like?
I'm 0-4 in fantasy baseball. If anyone cares, very bad. I just traded away Ian Happ to comp, who I think just wanted him because he listens to the compound. Um,
Um,
Bittner tried to give me DeGrom.
I'm trying
Not gonna
to
happen.
figure out how to do. Ooh, game props maybe. Team
Oh,
total runs.
there you go.
So you're taking the Padres to win?
By yeah, -1.5. Seth Lugo is the pitcher.
For the Padres.
Yeah.
I was about to
Are
take
you
the Pod.
now
I was about to
Jay's
take.
under?
I was about to take the
Or,
Padres team total under.
wait, isn't that an away?
Oh
They're
yeah,
home.
yeah. You're right. You're totally
You should
right.
take the Reds, and then we should just, you know, we either hit or we don't.
Michael Wacha's pitching for the Padres.
It says Seth Lugo.
They play 2 games tomorrow. It's a doubleheader. Which one?
Oh no,
You want the Seth?
really?
You want the Seth Lugo game, or do you want the Michael Wacha game?
It's only showing me that one. So I guess that one at 4:10. When's the other one?
All right, I'm gonna take. 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 Oh yeah, it's not on here yet. What are we talking about?
I have no idea what's going on, to be honest with
I'm
you.
gonna take the Pittsburgh Pirates.
They're home as well, Buck. Or they're away. Oh no, they're away. We're good.
Wait, what? I'm gonna take the Pittsburgh Pirates under 6.5 runs.
Are you on? Are you on DraftKings?
Yeah, it doesn't exist, but like it kind of does. It's in the game parlays under money line slash total and run line slash total runs.
Mm. Oh,
Oh,
so which
oh,
one are you doing?
team runs money line. Pirates under 2.5.
And Rays win.
Well, um, yeah, if you want. Yes, they will win. Under 2.5 is a little low, but it's the McClanahan pitching, so.
That's plus 285.
What? Whatever the Pirates total runs, I'm just gonna lock it in at 2.5. Pirates under 2.5 runs.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, whatever the under actually is tomorrow, it might be a little higher, but
I'll have to
I
remember to
still like it.
check.
Yeah, don't
Any
want another
close
fiasco.
any closing thoughts?
Um, no, we didn't get a subscriber. We didn't get one.
Really?
Nope.
If you're
Nope. We're
listening
still
and
at
you've
six.
already subscribed, instead of sitting on your thumb and going, "Oh, I'm already subscribed. I can't be another one." Go out there and get someone to subscribe. Tell the person sitting at their cubicle next to you, the guy you're calling on a sales call, the next customer who comes into your store, pulling up on their phone, point it out, and say, "Subscribe to Always Bulling." They will. People really have a hard time saying no if you're assertive with it. Tell them they want to do it. Help them do it for them. Let's get one more sub before next week. Thanks for listening. Always Bulling. If you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. Tell your neighbors, tell your friends. If you're on Spotify, follow, drop a rating. Thanks for listening. Thanks for giving us your time. That's all for this week, episode 29. As always, fist it, boys.